I haven't followed that case except when I see, when I'm surfing YouTube videos. Let me give you a brief synopsis to kind of fill in any blanks for you that the comment doesn't have. I was in Maine and I took a train down to South Boston to catch another train over to Toledo to come to a town south of there called Findlay, Ohio. And while I was at the changeover in Boston, it was called South Street Station or North Street Station. I've been there many, many times. I hopped on the train and I was moving pretty slow. I had some physical problems, just had a really bad surgery. And, you sit on the train and you're kind of just looking out the window, and three gentlemen got on. There was three of them. One of them very, very stocky and looked very strong, the guy in the sketch. He had another guy with him, a white guy, maybe 50-ish, and he had another guy with him, a black man with bad teeth. I mean, really bad teeth. A very skinny guy, about 6'1", and they sat in different seats. And then the guy he looked exactly like the sketch. Even down to the hat. And instead of a ruffled collar, he had of his shirt and a hoodie, he had a towel around his neck, kind of twisted. Yeah. And I thought it was strange. He started speaking to me. I was in the seat ahead of him. And, you're on a train, you're making conversation, hey, the weather or this and that. Right. And then it turned very dark. Yeah. He started talking about these murders in Delphi. And I was kind of shocked. It's, when somebody is saying this, you don't really want to hear it, but you can't unlisten it. Right. So he starts telling me these details that this was a witchcraft-related murder, like a sacrifice. Right. He said the girls were brutally destroyed and half covered up, half kind of covered with leaves or dirt or whatever. They were positioned, poised, and he said, many different comments. He told me also that the entire attack on the girls was recorded by her phone. Okay. And that's also something that So he said that the entire thing was recorded, and he also, he made many comments. He's telling me this, and the black man that got on the train with him, the Amtrak, had just this look on his face that you never forget, and he said, you should not be talking about this. Oh, boy. And then by then, we're in New York, over by around Johnstown, New York, just the train is clicking, clacking along. It pulls in on, I don't know if you've ever rode the train, but it'll stop many times to pick up and let off passengers. I think it was Johnstown or right around there. Then I found out it's a coworker. They worked at a place called Horizon Trucking Transportation. Through his discussions, he was telling me all this. So his friend, the black guy with the bad... The other two people were co-workers? Yes, they were co-workers at Horizon Trucking Transportation, and he said they delivered mail trucks, U-Haul trucks, RVs, and that sort of thing. Okay. So they traveled all over the country. Yeah. This is what he said. I don't, and the black man said you should not be talking about this. And we pulled in around Johnstown, and he got off the train. He left his bags, he left everything he brought on. He never got back on the train. He took off. Oh. And the second coworker was a white guy, maybe 450-ish, and he was stocky but not muscular. He got up when the train stopped, and he moved to a different car, and he never came back in that car.
Oh.
And then the guy in the sketch says the guy, as his second worker is leaving, says that I wish I could remember the black guy's name, but it was kind of muffled. And he said, did so-and-so just leave all his stuff on the train? And then as the train is taking off a few moments later, he was looking around. He said he never got back on the train.
Oh, my.
And so we're trick-tracking along, and then he's still talking. He's making different comments about the murder scene and how it was on his property. This is what he said, and I don't know anything I'm just repeating what he said. He said the girls were found on his property. And I said, that's pretty scary. I mean, I said, how did you find this stuff out? And, I guess he said he walked his property a lot, or when the investigation was going on, he didn't really decidedly answer the question, but, he said they were found on his property.
Okay.
And then, as it's going on, it just became less palatable. He keeps talking and talking about it. And I said, we should report all these things. And he said, this is a small town. He lived in Delphi in a log cabin. He had a log cabin there, is what he told me.
Okay.
And I guess he had a barn on the property also. And then he takes a turn. He said, he starts talking about a nephew or cousin of his, a younger guy, who is committing crimes in Delphi, robbing scrap metals and things like that.
Right.
And he caught his own cousin or nephew on his property stealing things. And I said, well, with family like that, you don't really need him around.
Right.
And his phone rings. It's later in the evening now. His phone rings, and it's apparently his wife. And she says, you want me to come pick you up at the train station? You could hear it. It was dead silent. All you could hear is the clickety-clack on the train in his discussion. And he says, no, I'll catch an Uber. I'll get an Uber home.
Okay.
And,
so this sketch guy, this is the sketch guy you're talking about with the wife?
Yes.
Okay, so he has a wife. He's able to take an Uber. So that kind of gives a little bit of classification on, his wealth or how he travels, what his life might be like.
He mentioned Horizon Trucking Transportation, and I'm telling you, miss, he looked exactly like the sketch. Not a little bit like it. He looked exactly like it. And this guy looked, I'm 6 feet, 210 pounds. I have health problems, but he looked unusually strong. Someone you would see and say, I don't want to tangle with that guy.
Yeah.
I would say in his early 50s or late 40s.
Okay.
I don't recall him having gray hair. He had the exact same cap on as in the sketch. Okay. And he had a hoodie on and a shirt underneath the hoodie.
And what town did he get out of?
I don't know. I got out in Toledo. I got off in Toledo, and he was heading to Indiana, the next state over. So my stop was in Toledo, and then he was going on to the next stop in Indiana.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I tried contacting the police. They were this is right when it happened. I met, within weeks of this thing happening is when I met him on the Amtrak.
Okay.
And I did try contacting the local police, the sheriff's department, the state police, and I'm telling you, everybody did not want to hear this information. They were belligerent, almost to the point that made me scared to call the tip line.
That's sad.
They were. This is some kind of a small town cover up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust anybody in it.
No. Somebody
had mentioned this to me, or they made a comment online recently, a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out one more time and try to contact these guys. I tried to contact this Mike Patty. I saw on a post that that there was a VFW or something online that had done a fundraiser for these girls that he goes to. I think it was just over the line in Michigan.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to contact him, so I called that VFW, explained it briefly, and I said, I'd like to get in touch with him with this information. Maybe the family could use it. And they said, call me. I said, let's be smart about this. They don't want to give out his phone number, is what they told me. So I said, that's fine. Contact him, and then I'll call you back in a day or so.
Right.
And then he did not want to hear the information.
Yeah, see, there's something wrong with that. There's definitely something wrong with that.
There's absolutely something wrong. And then I said, I'm going to reach out to their local church. They did a food fund drive, raiser, whatever. It was posted online. I said, I'm going to call that church, their church that did this, and see if they'll contact these families, and then we can connect some way. Well, the church, I'm telling you, this lady that answered at this church, it was so sinister. She said, well, we don't contact the families. We won't contact the families with any information. And I said, ma'am, can I just talk to your pastor and explain this to him? And the church, the local church, wouldn't either. And, I had a couple people online reach out and say, what trucking company and this and that. I'm telling you,
wow.
I remember it just like it was yesterday. He said, Horizon Trucking Transportation. He looked exactly like this sketch.
Right. Okay.
And the unusual thing was, he said they go out as a team sometimes. So they may drive, to California or whatever.
Yes.
And then one would take a train, one would take a bus, another would drive something back to wherever,
okay.
So that they could go out as a team and come back separately, or go separately and come back as a team.
Okay.
And I thought, what a way to have something to cover your tracks, like an employer with two bogus witnesses that said, no, I was with him here, or we were over there.
That's right.
And then when, I see that they have an audio, and then the local law enforcement dices it up and takes parts out. You know what I mean? They do like a tail-to-tail edit on it, so you could only hear one bit.
Yeah.
And then they, there was a couple different things like that. They've got audio, they've got video.
Yeah.
This is a small town, and I tell you, no one could change my mind that this is not a small town cover-up.
Yeah.
And I would be, I tell anybody who's contacted me or I've spoken with about it, be very careful talking to them. I mean, there's no telling how many people they've done this to.
Right.
Or maybe this is the only two kids, but you don't know. And I'm telling you, this guy on the Amtrak train looked unusually strong. And I don't know why I would even say that. I just looked at him and I thought, he looks like he could tear your arms off.
All right, so I'm gonna go through this with I'm gonna call them suspects, POIs for the moment. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask. The one that you think that is on the bridge, the one that's he's about 340, early 50s, and then you have the black guy. And
yeah.
Oh, sorry. How old did you think the black guy was?
I thought he might be in his late 50s or early 60s. He was very thin and tall, and he just had looked a little bit older.
Okay.
Than they said.
And now, how well was the guy? Was he dressed well? Was he dressed nice? Did he look like he was homeless? Can you tell me a little bit about what he was wearing?
The guy in the sketch that I saw on the train, he was very clean.
Okay.
His clothes were very clean. You could almost smell like a fabric softener or something on them.
Okay.
They were not wrinkled in any way, shape, or form. He had a shirt, and then a towel around his neck, and then a hoodie on, and that hat. And he had fallen asleep while we were, while we were on the train, and he snored horribly, like he had severe sleep apnea.
Okay. Okay. And then the
And
black guy, was he dressed really well?
he was dressed very modestly. He had an old-fashioned kind of what you might call an old guy shirt, a short sleeve shirt, dark colors with stripes on it.
Okay.
And he had on like black jeans.
Okay, black jeans. And then the third guy, how was he? He was white as well.
He was white as well, and he was dressed very average, jeans, and I think he had I can't think of it. It's kind of like a jean jacket or something like that on.
Okay.
But the look on his face, the black guy, when he got off the train, if you'd have seen his face, it was just shock, and he wanted to get out of there. And the other guy that left the car turned back and looked at this sketch guy, and he had this look on his face. I can still see the guy's face.
Oh.
He was walking away, and he turned and looked at his coworker, and that was it. And it was just a weird, strange look.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that sounds really creepy. How old do you think he was? He was also around the same age? 50s?
He was around the same age. They were both sketch guy and the third guy were average height,
Okay.
5'10", and the third guy that left the car, he was slightly shorter than the sketch guy, and the black guy who left was considerably taller than the sketch guy. He was maybe 4 or 5 inches taller.
Okay. All right.
It's good to people who have a passion.
Yeah.
Usually find the answers. If they don't have a passion and it's their job,
Right.
maybe they find the answer, maybe they don't, or maybe it just gets stuck in some old file somewhere.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm telling you, this guy, he had brass ones on him. He didn't care what he said or who heard it, and he was not somebody that you would want to tangle with. Somebody had reached out last year to me and said, they were kind of pushing me to go to this Horizon Trucking, kind of nudging me.
Oh.
And I said, these people look like they kill for a living. They killed 2 kids and nobody knows what's going on. You want an old man to go over there with heart failure?
Yeah, no.
I'm not going over there because, maybe, who knows, maybe it's a friend of the killer nudging me to wipe me out so I don't talk anymore.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
And I would say, you know that you said you're the other end of the country, but be careful because I'm telling you, I saw this guy. The instant I saw him, something inside me said, you don't want to mess with this guy. This guy looks like he could tear your arms off. And I never forgot that feeling when I saw him because I didn't like him sitting behind me in the next seat behind me.
What did he remind you of? Like a biker?
Yeah.
A biker?
He reminded me like a biker, not like a hardcore biker, just like a biker that rides for fun maybe, or used to be a biker kind of certain. He had that look, and he just had that look about him.
Did he have any tattoos or anything?
No, unusually he was almost covered head to toe in clothing. He had the long sleeve hoodie on and that towel around his neck. I was suspicious that he was covering tattoos with it. I'm like, why does somebody have a towel around their neck like that? And the only people I have seen are extreme athletes like boxers. I don't know why they do it, but they'll put a towel around their neck and tuck it in their shirt when they're working out.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And I just thought, I've never gone out in public once in my life with a towel around my neck and a hoodie on and a hat.
No.
But that's...
Yeah. So he obviously didn't have that blue jacket on because that probably was destroyed in the process. But so he dresses like an older gentleman. Well, man, I do appreciate you calling me and giving me this information. If you think of anything else, please don't hesitate. Just send me a text. My phone is middle of the night, so nothing wakes me up. So I tell anybody that it can be helpful like that. Just feel free to reach out to me and I'll put this to you. I'm actually already digging my profile really well too. So, I can bounce off of one person in this and then bounce off to another, and it all makes sense to me. So, I really hope that I can help and be of help and put this stuff together and maybe provide you a face that you will recognize. And yeah.
No problem. Just send me the pics or whatever, and I'll let you know. But I can see the guy's face right in front of me. I can hear his voice. I can't say if it's the guy on the bridge because I think the audio is manipulated.
Yeah.
What is released? I know it's been edited,
right.
So you don't know how far it's been edited. Have they manipulated the?
Exactly, and were there more than one person there? And I believe there was definitely more than one person to tackle these girls. So whose voice was it really? Was it the guy that you were looking at on the bridge, or was it a person that's behind, or pops up, or So it's really interesting. It's just a sad, and justice is definitely needed. That's for sure.
Yeah, the wheels of justice are slow. They may take a while. They won't escape God in the end, but.
Right.
They're not somebody I want to ever run into, or have you ever run into them. If you were to put pieces together, these people that nudged me last year, well, blah blah blah. You go. I said, I'm not going up there. I can barely lift a gallon of milk. I couldn't get out of my way to save myself, and then I told them, and I expressly told them, this person looked extremely strong. If you go up there and you take this sketch. Somebody at that company, Horizon Trucking, he didn't just pull this name out of the hat.
Right.
I think he was telling the truth when he said it, just making small talk and conversation that turned very dark.
Right.
And somebody up there will recognize this guy, and I'm sure the police will say, nah, he's cleared.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust anybody with a badge over there with anything. I wouldn't trust him with a nickel.
Nope, I certainly wouldn't either. No. Well,
okay, if you need me, just shoot me a message or send me a picture or whatever.
All right.
And I'll try to help you any way I can.
All right. Again, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. God bless you. Stay safe.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.